because of the culture and the come as you are, our servers are very engaging. They're very thoughtful. They're very nice. They're extremely knowledgeable. I mean, we get grades on our friendliness like nobody's business. I bet you we're one of the top out of the entire industry. But that's a testament to how we treat our people. They're happy to be there.
Today, I want to introduce you to two dynamic operators with extensive hospitality experience and a vision. Chris Artinian and Joe Kahn are leading a company called Condado Tacos forward. But most importantly, it's not just about the tacos, the tequila, and the margaritas, which is a magic formula unto itself, but it's really about leadership and development and the company culture they've created that have taken their first employees and really developed their positions and given them leadership within this organization. And these people are doing quite well. This is a philosophy that makes perfect sense if you want to build a dream team staff. Give them additional responsibility, empower them, and watch what they can do. This company is on fire. They're in 9 states and growing, so you're not going to want to miss this episode. Thanks to the sponsors this week, Verge Funding, Smithfield Culinary, the Birthday Club, and the Restaurant Rockstars Academy. Now, on with the episode.
You're tuned in to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Powerful ideas to rock your restaurant. Here's your host, Roger Bodwin.
People go to restaurants for lots of reasons. What the customer doesn't know is the thousands of details it takes to run a great restaurant. This is a high-risk, high-fail business. It's a treacherous road, and smart operators need a professional guide. I'm Roger. I've started many highly successful, high-profit restaurants. I'm passionate about helping other owners and managers not just succeed, but knock it out of the park. You don't just want to run a restaurant. You want to dominate your competition and create a lasting legacy. Join the Academy, and I'll show you how it's done. Hey there, Rockstars. Let's talk birthday marketing. It's one of those critical, important details that either drive new and repeat business into your place or not. Now, very few of us are real expert marketers, but why not a program that's done for you, that targets all the customers in your area that are having birthdays? Everyone has a birthday. Why not speak to my buddy Dyson Barnett? He's a former restaurant owner-operator. He knows this business, and now his company delivers birthday customers, and it's all done for you. Get some marketing that you can track, where you know exactly if it's working or not and what the return on investment is, because so few marketing dollars that restaurant owners spend is trackable. So that's key. Dyson is pretty certain that he can get more butts in seats, and not only more butts in seats, but repeat business. Once he introduces new customers to your restaurant, those people, if they have a great experience in your place, are going to come back and tell their friends. Now that's trackable, and that's powerful marketing. Check it out at jointhebirthdayclub.com/birthdayrockstar. Chris, Joe, thanks so much for joining me today on the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. How are you both?
Good. Thanks for having us.
You know, everyone has their own restaurant story, of course, and it all starts at different ages, and they're very interesting stories because they lay a foundation for what is to come. So if both of you would share that one at a time, that'd be great. And then how you got involved with Condado Tacos, and then the story of the brand would be great.
Yeah, I can start. I was... I think it was whenever you could get a job. I think it was 15 and a half back in the day.
Yes.
And first job was Sizzler.
I remember that.
Sizzler's Steakhouse, yeah, as a busboy in Chicago. And I loved it. I think I walked away with like $7 or $8 at the end of the night. And I was basically hooked going forward. Honestly, I never left the industry. I worked my way through. From there, I think I advanced my way all the way up to Pizza Hut, where I became a server. And from Pizza Hut, went everywhere. Red Lobster, a lot of independents, a lot of different places, all different positions in the restaurant. Server, bar back, back of house, consulting eventually, restaurant management, of course. I think I was only up to a couple units on my own, but so that's my backstory for the restaurant business. I was very motivated from the age of whenever I got my first job because I loved the industry. Honestly, I fell in love with like talking to people and walking around and helping them. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what life is all about. And I remember I went home and told my dad, and my dad goes, "You're going to be a garbage man. Get out of the restaurant business. Don't do it. You're going to be a garbage man. Go get your degree and go do something else." And I think I made it my mission for the last 35 years or so to prove him wrong. And I'm the founder of Condado, so I'm very proud whenever I see my father to remind him that he told me if I stayed in the restaurant business, I would end up being a garbage man. So not that there's anything wrong with being a garbage man. I mean, it probably pays pretty well and great union, all that good stuff. But for some reason, I took offense to that. So
and you're outdoors all the time, but
what's that?
And you're outdoors all the time.
That's right. And I bet you smell great. No offense to them, but
yep.
You know, I just fell in love with it. I really did from moment one, and you know, all the way through. Even to this day, I sometimes dream because I don't let myself interfere with anybody in the restaurants anymore because they know much better than I do. But sometimes I want to get up and help, and I'm like, oh shoot, I can't. You know, gotta not do that. So I miss it a lot every day.
That's a great foundational story. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thanks.
How about you, Chris? Tell us about you.
You know, I really, for me, it starts really as a kid. My family was very, very, very passionate about food. My mother was an amazing cook. I'm half Italian and half Armenian. So like two really great, you know, food cultures.
Yes. They combine.
You know, and so everything we did was surrounded around a meal, celebration, sadness, mourning, and my mother was very passionate in the early days. Really took, you know, cooking classes with some of the coolest chefs in New York City years ago, and I was very fortunate enough as the third child to kind of be at that age where my mom was doing a lot of that, you know, stuff, and I got to participate and you know, help her with prep, etc. And then as I got older, I did do similar to Joe, worked in fast food. I got into Burger King and sort of cut my teeth there, and then while I was going to school, and then kind of started valet parking cars for our favorite Italian restaurant. And the founders there, the owners who still run it today, La Parma in New York City, on Long Island, New York, one day needed some help in the kitchen and waiting tables, and said, "Hey, can you come in early one day? I'm going to show you how to make chicken cutlets." And so found myself frying chicken cutlets and then learning about how to make sauce, and really kind of fell in love with sort of like this prideful ownership of this independent restaurant, the neighborhood joint. I went on to school and I actually started out in a different career and really was not fulfilled. And I left the industry and started to look for other things. And I really kept coming back to the restaurant industry. And I went back and I started at Morton Steakhouse in New York City.
Familiar with the brand?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I was there in 94, 95 at $4.13 an hour, chopping onions in the pantry. And over a 17-year career, had the great fortune of being around a really terrific culture of people that showed me the way, mentored me, anything you can imagine from an operational standpoint, to employee relations and the development of those relationships inside the restaurants, the value of process and structure, but also Morton's is private equity owned. So as I grew with that company, sort of got exposure to the business of restaurants. So very fortunately, 17 years later, I ended up being I was the CEO of Morton's, and in 2012 led the sale. We were a public company. So as you can imagine, over that 17-year period, the exposure and experience that I got in that business was phenomenal. And how it led me to Condado, and meeting Joe was really sort of a page out of that book in some ways. So after Morton's, I spent a few years staying around private equity, took on a few roles as a few different roles as CEO or consulting or doing some sort of due diligence on new deals. And then I ended up joining full-time a private equity firm out of New York called the Beekman Group as a managing director. And I was out actively seeking deals in the restaurant space. And I was the operator amongst a group of financial experts, professional investors, and complemented the team with sort of my operational purview and sort of led the restaurant deals. And we were prospecting for deals. I found out about Condado, from afar, and I was like, well, this is an interesting concept. Had never been to one, just kind of did some quick online work. And then Joe Kahn, the founder, and I met at a conference, and literally, like Joe, I'll say it was like 10 minutes in, we really understood that, we shared a lot of values when it came to restaurants, like, amazing food, really focused, but really led with people. Like people were the most paramount thing. And it really resonated with me about the alignment, the vision that Joe had around Condado, the alignment of people. I don't want to go too far into the story quite yet, but I'll pause here in a sec. But we connected at that level. And I just thought Condado had such a great formula of a simple menu driven around a culture of come as you are with people, led by this founder, Joe Kahn, that I thought was a great opportunity, great investment. And we ended up at the Beekman Group leading the deal and investing as a majority partner in 2020. I got so excited about the brand, and after 2 years, got to know the team. I actually formally resigned from the firm and joined the company as the full-time president and CEO 2 years ago, just because I believe so much in the brand, the people, and the concept. So sorry for the long-winded.
No, that was wonderful. Both of those stories are grounded in foundational elements of this business, which is amazing. The experience that led to what you're doing now. But the thing that really resonates is passion. This is such a business of passion. And when you're in this business, it can bite you early and bite you hard, and it just gets in your blood and you just stay with it. But it's really about relationships also. It's relationships with the team. It's relationships with suppliers. It's relationships with guests, all those things. And then it's the unifying force that brings the entire world together. So multicultural, multidimensional, and all that came across in your story. So thanks so much for sharing. It is definitely a business of passion, and both are really great stories. So let's talk about the founding story now of Condado. How old? I know you're, looks like the website shows you have 9 states represented here and growing, which is tremendous. And we're going to get into the menu and the food and the concept and all that, but let's talk about the longevity, the founding story, and where the brainchild came from. I always love to hear that information. So take us there.
Yeah, sure. It's funny. 9 states, 45 locations, soon to be 50 by the end of the year. It's an amazing story in 9 years, but it really is just a testament to the culture that we try to provide at Condado, even from day one. We have 8 to 10 original employees in that restaurant where, your first one where, you're scraping by and all these guys believed in the culture of the restaurant and what I was doing, and they ended up being still with me. And that's a testament. They're all in the C-suites or some higher up position and able to grow this, into a $200 million company. But the origin of it was I got my opportunity when I was 39 years old. I started another concept under a different name, same kind of concept. I evolved a little bit. I was very, very lucky to meet my wife, who knew a guy that had a place that was going under and had a liquor license, and I went in and made a deal and told him my concept, and we became partners. Um, had a good year or so together, and then we, ended up not being. We ended up separating our own ways and going away and going. We were all happy, whatever. And
Okay,
then I
typical
restarted.
partnership story. You don't always see
Yeah,
eye
it's
to eye.
all
Things go
always fun.
sideways sometimes.
And that's
What year was
okay.
that? What year would you say that was,
That
Joe?
was 2 years earlier than Condado, so that was
Okay.
2012.
Gotcha. All right.
But anyways, so to start with the concept, when I was 39 and met my wife when I was 38, I think, something like that. I always dreamt, and I would tell her my dreams. I'm like, if I ever get the opportunity to open a place of my own, it's going to be amazing, and blah, 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 blah. Turns out her friend had that place, and I went and I asked him, and he goes, well, what do you want to do? And I said, oh, I want sandwiches. And he goes, well, what about Mexican? We don't have Mexican. And I go, well, I don't know Mexican, but you know what? I do know Mexican, but how about we specialize it? I'm going to do just like tacos. And he goes, well, go write it down and bring it to me the next day, and we'll look it over. And literally an hour and a half. It took me and my wife and a half a bottle of whiskey, and we sat there, and she took notes, and I was just like, okay, this is my dream. This is my dream. This is what I want. I've been in this industry for 30 years now, or 28, 25 years, whatever it was at that point. I go, I hate this, this, and this about the industry. We're all a number. I want to make this culture that everybody comes as their own, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I want to not, I was a fine dining guy most of my career. So I would always, they used to call me the guy that either revived or ruined places. But these guys would spend like $5 million on the restaurant. Then they'd put me in charge. And that's all great and everything. But I'd look around and I'd go, well, why is this table? Why did you spend $20,000 on this table? I go, that's not going to bring people in. I go, well, it's about the food, it's the ambiance, everything else. So she was typing everything down, and I'm like, I want artwork on the walls. I don't want expensive tables. I just want like green tables and chairs, and I want it served out of a boat. But what we have to do is we have to have the best food. It has to be customizable, tacos, blah, blah, blah. And so an hour and a half, literally, I look back at that little business plan that I did, well, over 13 years ago now, 13 or 14 years ago. And it still to this day is about 90% of what Condado is. So it's really funny to look back and go, but really I built this place because I wanted to build a place that I thought I would want to be a part of and to go to. So built it, turned out great. Partnership didn't last, but I got really lucky. 2 years later, I was working and I found two great partners. And then I took all my experiences from the other space and went, well, that was great, but now I need to make it even better. And so I changed a bunch of stuff, molded it into, something that I thought was even better. And then voila, Condado, 9 years later, 45 restaurants in. It's an amazing story, but really at the end of the day, I wanted an exciting environment that I could serve affordable food, craveable food, clean food, high ingredients for an affordable price. I wanted a place that you could come to 2 or 3 times a week and not get bored of it. And so, but I also wanted people who were there to work for me to enjoy their job. So I'm like, the come as you are kind of made it. And what I found was when I was working in the industry, when I was in that stuffy uniform and I was all this, I wasn't myself. I didn't feel good. I didn't feel like myself. So anyways, we did this and it's not like it just happened overnight. I mean, a lot of things happened in between, but it was great. Everything poured out of me. And, it's just fantastic to see 45 restaurants in and thousands of employees, the beginning values of Condado that I started, the culture. I mean, this is unheard of, but when I go to a restaurant opening, I have at least 4 or 5 employees who have been with me 3, 4, 5 years that some of them I just, I can't even remember still because there's so many people out there. coming up, and we've met once or twice or whatever, but they come up and they go, this job has changed my life. I have never been in this industry. And I shit you not. I don't know if you can swear on this podcast. I just did, but
yeah, let yourself go.
It really is a testament to the culture that these 8, 9, 10 guys that have permeated through the organization has passed down to every employee, even the longevity employees that have been with us 7 years and 8 years. It's all passed down, and then we all believe in this unified thing of come as you are, be happy, be happy at work, take pride in your work hard, and you're going to have these great opportunities. I mean, now I'm at the point where, and I have been for several years, after the first couple of years, I'm just like, I want this thing to be, national. I want to be the premier company. I want to change how you're treated in the restaurant industry, how you can make money and how you can get ahead without having a big college degree and all this kind of stuff. And, I would probably say out of the 10 employees, there's probably 2 that have a degree, and are millionaires, are going to be millionaires soon. So, it's a great testament to vision of what you want and finding people better than you that believe in you to execute what is happening now. You know what I mean?
Let's go back in time to the beginning. Yeah. And I'm sure you can remember every restaurant, every restaurateur has crazy stories. What were the big challenges and pain points? What kept you up at night? What did you think, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get past this? And then you fast forward years in the future, and now you can laugh at it and say, that was really nothing. And look where we've come so far. Does anything like that strike either of you gentlemen?
Oh my God. I mean, I'll go and tell my horror stories, and I'm sure Chris has a million too. But yeah. I mean, in this business, there's just so many failures all the time around you. It's how you react. I mean, I've lost people that I thought were the best, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. Or there's so many challenges. I wish I could pick out one. I mean, I've shut down restaurants because I failed during service. I would shut down my restaurants in the middle of service, apologize, give people drinks, say, all your food's on me. We did not do this properly. Give us another chance, and that to me was a big failure. And I'd go home and go, oh my God, and pull my hair out, or, whatever it is. But I got back up the next day, and I'm like, if I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail hard. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it right the next day. And the people around me really rallied and came with me. And that's really what made Condado. They all rallied behind us together as this company, and we came through. But yeah, I mean, I've lost partnerships, I've lost deals, I've lost everything. I mean, I've failed all the time. That's what makes you, I think, in my book. I don't know what you think, Chris.
No, first of all, well said, and like, spoken like a true founder and a dreamer. And, I think, there's an 80% failure rate in business for a reason. And it's hard to, it's not, to Joe's point, it was never just about the taco, or even better food. A lot of people could decide to put a better product on the menu. This business is so people intensive, and that's why it's so hard. And I think that's the struggles that I remember. I have always touted myself as the great replicator of brands. I have always had the ability in my career to take a dreamer like Joe, that has a vision that gets it started, and I am really good at sort of taking the ball and helping replicate that in a to 2 restaurants, 3 restaurants, 5 restaurants, 10 restaurants, and beyond. And that's what I've done over the years, and more of a sort of from, even though I had independent roots, but I've really in my mature years in the restaurants has really been corporate structure. And I have the great fortune of working with folks like Joe that I can able to take the dream, of which I couldn't come up with some of these ideas, locked in a room, but I'm pretty good at the cultural piece and carrying that ball and engaging with people and getting the most out of people, which is really what excites me. And this business, if you don't want to make a difference in a person's day, you're in the wrong industry. And I mean that starting with your team members. And Joe says something, and we talk about it a lot as a group. And our COO, Johnny, who was Johnny Zila, who was Joe's first employee, really leads this in our organization. But, we say at Condado that whether you're here 1 week, 1 minute, one year, 10 years, or 20, we want you to look back on that experience as the best time you've had, as one of the best experiences that you learned something, you took away something. Because so many people come into this industry in their formative years and not sure what to do with it. So it is the toughest part, and is why it's such a high failure rate, because you got to get people that believe and align and then share your passion for what you're doing and then to execute it. And those are the growing pains that I think still to this day keep us up at night, but that also we're so passionate about getting right, because we know those are the folks that are going to help us, tell that story and execute, and by us helping them better their lives in some way, large or small, it's going to translate to the guest experience and be pretty special.
That's definitely beautiful. Let's talk a little bit about roles. Okay. I know you're president and CEO, and Joe, you're the founder and whatnot. Is there any overlap to what you two do? You obviously collaborate on the business, on growth, on future marketing strategies, all that kind of stuff. But, what are your roles specifically? What, that cliche, stay in your lane. You each have your own lanes. What are those lanes?
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, listen, Chris is the how can I say this? He's more than just the running back. He is the guy that takes the ball and just runs with it and gets everything put together. I'm the dreamer. The great thing about Chris, and I'll just tout him really quick.
Mm-hmm. Please.
He is not a typical CEO and president. He thinks like me. He thinks like he wants my help when it comes to all this. He doesn't need to ask for my help. He's like, I'm not the majority anymore. I'm still the largest stockholder. I'm not the majority. So he could go, okay, I don't even want to listen to you, Joe, and blah, blah, blah. But what he knows is I'm the founder. I still have a vision. I have people that follow me, and he supports what I do. But we talk about everything. Chris lets me in. I sit in a lot of, the meetings, the big meetings, of course, and he relies on me to say, hey, is this what Condado should be? And I go, yeah, or I say, no, this is not us. I want to tell you. So I spend a lot of time working with Chris, but he's really the running back / quarterback, whatever you want to say, that really, takes all these different personalities. And then at the end of the day, he has to make the big decision. It is what it is. I mean, there's been tough decisions that he's had to make that me, Johnny, and him don't all agree on. And at the end of the day, we will sit there for hours. We will sit there for a week. We will sit there for 2 weeks until we finally get to a point where we're all like, okay, this is what we can live with. And that's very rare because we're usually all on the same page. But I mean, if there's something, we're not scared to, talk about why it's wrong or why it's right and to voice our opinion. At the end of the day, we all care about Condado, but he's the big architect. I'm the dreamer. I still say I have a very good pulse on the business. I'm there a lot. I'm in a ton of meetings, so it's not like I go anywhere. But at the end of the day, Chris really does all the hard work. I dream.
Joe, that's very kind, and I appreciate that. I will say that Joe is the absolute DNA of Condado, and one of the biggest values that Condado has is the fact that Joe's still involved. I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with other brands. I've worked with brands with the founder, without a founder that's still involved. The advantage we have of having Joe's original vision is that I can real time gut check. Does this feel right? Was this the reason why we started this? Because what's important to me to really replicate a brand in a sustainable way are the values that started this brand still intact? And are we making our decisions, whether it be around our people, around our food, around our menu, around our building, around how we're, however we view our strategic vision, does it fit within the core values that was your idea when you started this? And, I love the fact that we can wake up and understand the why of why Condado got started. And I have that with the founder. So Joe is absolutely Chief Innovation Officer. So gets very involved with our food, and is very involved in our marketing, and really works with me on the culture. And to Joe's point, I am the strategist, if you will, to help put in structure, sort of how do we replicate this in the most effective way possible. And I work closely with our COO, who's just done an amazing job of creating systems and operational execution that is just exemplary. I thought I was a pretty good operator coming through this. Johnny's the best period in the industry as far as I'm concerned. And so I have an innovator and a culture guy that understands, in Joe Kahn, that understands exactly the why behind what we do. And I have an operator that was there day one that knows how to do it from scratch and execute it at an extremely high level. And I get to be sort of the baton leader, if you will. These guys are the show. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I really enjoy what they've built, and I am really enjoying helping them, for lack of a better way to put it, show them what Condado can continue to be with the dream that Joe has had by, introducing it to new markets in a way that keeps the brand preserved. And that's my job, with a lot of help from those guys.
Well, it sounds to me, everything you've said so far leads back to your people. Your people are your strength. Your people are brand representatives in all these states. Your people you talked a lot about culture also, which seems really, really strong. You don't just have a mission statement. You have a true culture that defines your brand, that everybody feels, that everyone is pulling toward that common goal. But you still need to maintain consistency across all those locations and across all those states. Have you had, are any of the original employees in different states now running the different stores, or are they district managers? Let's talk about leadership and how you develop leadership across the states and across the chain.
Get big flavor with little labor with Smokin' Fast from Smithfield. It's fully cooked or smoked proteins, including American barbecue staples and global flavors. Everything from ribs to pulled chicken to brisket and barbacoa are all authentically slow cooked to perfection. It's so delicious your guests will never know it wasn't smoked right in your own kitchen. Now you can add barbecue to your menu without adding a pitmaster to your payroll. Visit smithfieldculinary.com/smokinfast. That's spelled SMOKENFAST. Listen, you've heard a lot of noise about the ERC tax credit. Why is it such a big deal? Because your business already paid a ton of money in payroll taxes, and more than likely, you qualify to get a ton of money back. Now, if you haven't applied yet, I'm telling you, drop everything, drop what you're doing, and figure out how to get it done. The truth is, and I'm speaking from experience here, it's super easy to get the money back if you let an expert do the work for you. Now get on this before the government either changes the program or runs out of money. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars back from my restaurant, and it literally saved our business. Now, you may have heard it may take many months after applying to get your money back, but that doesn't have to be the case. If you need your ERC refund sooner to run your business or to take care of some much-needed projects, you can speak with Karen Garbett, the owner of Verge Funding Group, about a bridge loan or other working capital. Now, whether you wait for your check, opt for a bridge loan, or other working capital, it's likely you have a significant amount of money due back to you, so don't lose it. Now go to the show notes for this episode on our website and use Karen's calendar link to set up a time to chat with her personally about how much money your business can get back.
I'll talk the beginning days and then I'll let Chris take and go there. But the consistency thing was number one on our minds when I decided when we had one restaurant. I learned from McDonald's. I'm like, I want to go to Condado every time, and I want it to be the same food, right?
Absolutely.
Has to be consistent, has to be the same. So that was day one. I mean, I would throw out gallons full of sauces that we would make for the day. We were that busy. We were $5.5 million little restaurant in the short north, and we would have to make things in gallons, sauces in gallons. I'd go around and taste, and that's 8 a.m. in the morning, and if somebody didn't make it right, well, it doesn't get doctored; it gets thrown out. So you have to restart, or it's just not on your menu for the day, and then you have to explain. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. So
Sure.
I was very big on consistency, safety, consistency. Knock on wood is the worst thing that could happen. But I actually made sure on the consistency part, and a lot of the guys that were with me in the beginning are the higher ups in the company now. The culinary managers and all these guys, and so that foundation of building those armies, there's a lot more, because there's year two employees that have been there 8 years. We don't call them the OGs, and there's 7 years and they're not the OG, but they are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A lot of those guys permeate themselves through the organization, but so that was just like beaten into you, and there's no way that these guys are not going to be consistent, because they went through hell with me. I was not fun to be around. I was not a fun boss. They believed in my vision, but there are days that we didn't look in each other in the eye, because I was like, this is what we're doing, and so we're friends, and you conform to what I'm doing. I'm not gonna, kind of thing. So they were very good. They survived. I call it my last name is Kahn, the Wrath of Kahn days.
Oh,
they survived those, and they made it.
Yeah,
They learned. But that's how you have to be in the business to get your everything done. And I loved them to death, but I just wanted to be this thing. I had a vision. So that's not a problem. Now, going forward, the more we expand, I'll let Chris take it, but we're a pretty big organization at this point. So, I mean, we have a lot of regionals that have been with us a long time, and our COO, and we have, a bunch of assistant regionals, but I'll let Chris speak to the making sure everything's consistent across the board.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
No, so just to pick up where Joe left off, is that a lot of those folks that were there from the beginning, to answer your question too, are one is our COO, is so in the C-suite for sure. Another one is our vice president of food operations, who runs our Make Fresh sort of production, a 26,000 square foot facility where we do everything from scratch. And he was started with a 5-gallon bucket and a piece of plywood and a chef knife, and now is running a facility that people would absolutely laud and envy today. And
don't forget, he does our own
logistics
trucking as well, logistics distribution. That's very important with the scratch kitchen, because everything that is made like it's made in your kitchen and delivered to your restaurant within 24 hours, which is unheard of. So
it is. That's logistically amazing, right? The commissary kitchen. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it is
tremendous.
So, Jan Stewart, our VP of food operations, was within a matter of weeks hired, in the early days. So to culinary manager, to our beverage manager, to our facilities folks. So those original folks permeate the company still. Several of them are on the training team today and helping.
Alyssa runs the art department.
Alyssa Martin runs our art department and has been with us for years. And so, these are the original folks that really are the foundation of the culture. And then what our COO has done, certainly with Joe's support over the years and mine over the last couple of years, taken the ball of that and really driven the organization to drive personal and professional development. And so with all these openings, when you're opening up, you go from opening up 1 to 3 to 5 to, will be almost 12 new openings this year, which is really exciting. You need people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we're going to go there too in a few minutes, but keep going.
66% of our promotions last year were internal. And that does not happen without, a tremendous focus on on development programs and getting people excited about the brand, excited about their growth, and getting them to stay because they believe and they're feeling part of. And so these folks that have stayed from the beginning believed in Joe's vision, and they've been the quarterback, so to speak, or the messenger of this culture. And because they're in so many different positions, at the four corners of Condado, we're very fortunate to have so many mouthpieces of our culture and where we started in the history, certainly led by Joe and our COO, Johnny Zila, and the supporting cast. But it really creates this place where, you know what, boy, if I really do X, Y, and Z, I could actually manage X, Y, and Z, and I can actually grow my career here. And as excited as we are about everyone growing their career, we're still perfectly okay is that if you just have a great experience with us, and learn and grow in any fashion.
Yeah.
And if the restaurant industry isn't for you and you move on, at least you can look back on Condado and saying, boy, that was a great growth opportunity for me. I really grew as a person. I learned a little bit about business, learned a little bit about working with people, working with guests and the hospitality. And that's driven because we have so many people that have tenure here, but also so many people that have grown their own careers here, which really kind of permeates that sort of tenure and retention.
So now you're talking leadership versus management, and I think there's a huge distinction, and it's kind of unfortunate our industry throws around that word manager so often, and it's the title, right? And just because you're promoted to manager or that's your title doesn't mean you're competent or experienced to be the manager. But a leader is someone, one, leads by example, recognizes talent in other people, nurtures and develops that talent, gives them opportunities to grow in an organization, gives them room to make mistakes and fail, recognizes and rewards that performance. And like you said, if you just want to make the tacos and you want to stay here forever just making the tacos, that's okay too. But that's leadership, right? And I'm hearing that crystal clear from your organization. And that
Exactly.
is just really, really strong. I mean, when you've got that is part of the culture also of the organization for sure. Just a testament to how you've created this thing, the vision that remained true and solid, doesn't deviate from this is us, like you said, Joe. And that's really powerful. There's a great takeaway there for our audience. So I'm really glad you shared. That's
yeah, and thank you for saying that because it's very true. It's not abundant in this industry.
No, it really isn't.
But it's we're very proud of our people. We're very proud of how far you want to go, and we're very proud of our pay scale. I mean, we pay probably in the 90th percentile, if not above, of major companies, everywhere from salaried down to line cooks. I was paying close to $20 an hour 9 years ago.
Oh, amazing.
And that's always been been our philosophy. And I made
that's
shitload
powerful.
of money.
Yep.
And I opened up 45 of these. So it can be done. People in the industry, take note. If you pay well, people will work hard for you. There will be less turnover, and you'll make yourself a lot of money. So it can be done, but you need a livable wage. You need to feel like you're part of something when you come to work, and you need to feel like if you want to stay with that company, that you can advance. And there are so many opportunities as big as we think. Well, I don't think anybody thinks we're that big. Maybe people outside of our organization, we still see ourselves as a baby in this industry. 45 restaurants, 50 restaurants. For what we want to achieve, we're a baby in the industry right now. And to be that legacy company, it's going to take, a good number of years to make sure that we keep doing what we're doing and growing at the same time and making sure that our culture is intact. Because these great brands like In-N-Out Burger and McDonald's and all this, they're all built the same way. There's you can go back, and I bet you my story is identifiable to them as it is now. You look at other brands that have been around for a few years and have gone. I bet you that's not in that organization. They don't care about culture. They care about churn and burning. And to me, it's what Chris said in the beginning. It's a people business. If you can't take care of your people, take care of the people that come in the restaurant, you're just not going to have a restaurant. That's how it is, right?
Let's talk about onboarding new staff and indoctrinating them into this culture and training and recognition and rewards. How does that work across the organization?
Yeah, I could take that, Joe, if you like.
Sure.
So we have a full-on training department, as you can imagine. So certainly have a director of training and a supporting cast that not only focuses on opening new restaurants, but also documenting every process we have in the organization. The most valuable thing to really bring someone on board is we really think it starts with orientation. And the thing the thing that we, as basic as that sounds, is that the most important thing is that day one, you're truly welcomed here at Condado. You understand who we are, what we are. You are met with our mission statement or in our core values. You're met with exercises that help you understand the reason why those were developed and what's the meaning behind them. And that's the foundation of what we do. And every piece of training material and every piece of communication today goes through the lens of our mission statement, which our mission statement can be a little lengthy, but at the end of the day, it's about come as you are and creating an experience as unique as you are. And we use that lens in everything that we do and how we communicate. How we even do development programs. We want to use the same language that we're all accustomed to, so everyone truly understands where we're coming from when we are communicating something, or communicating the spirit of a new initiative, or communicating anything that's going on in the organization. We really try to look through the lens of our mission statement and our core values. Ironically enough, the acronym is CASO, and we certainly sell a ton of CASO.
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
which stands for
perfect fit.
Yeah, and it's exciting because it stands for, if you just to share with you, quality, unique, empowered service and opportunity.
Oh yeah, that's great.
I'll save you from going through each one of those, but each one of those words really means something in our organization when it comes to quality and the people beyond the food. Right, and uniqueness, the celebration of the people, the uniqueness of the menu, and so on and so forth, and giving people the power to grow their own careers and make a difference in someone's day in the guest experience, et cetera, et cetera. And we really work hard, and we're not perfect at it, because I don't know if we ever will be, to be honest. We really try to hold ourselves accountable to this mission and core values, and gut check ourselves regularly and saying, are we really holding up the values that we went out there and said that we're going to do? And we ask our team members about it, and we really try to, whether it be quarterly meetings with our general managers and other managers, really try to engage at a level that ensures that we're supporting that message.
I'm not hearing that you've had much of a challenge with the labor crisis that much of the industry is complaining about.
I wish. I wish we were insulated to what everyone has, has been challenged. No doubt. And just to be very transparent, during COVID, we experienced some of the highest turnover in the industry. Despite all the great things I think we do, for several different reasons. One, there was a lot of things changing in the world. People, taking stock in their lives and wanting different qualities of life or different experiences and trying different things. So, or just not, returning to work, candidly, whether depending on the time we were going through. Mm-hmm. So there is no question. We had those challenges, but what I will say, where everything that we've spoken about here saved us, is that I think we had an advantage over most, because we had a group of people that were aligned with us that said, if we can get open and be the first ones open, we can serve our communities. And that's something pretty special.
It is.
and to have a collective group of people do that. And these types of people attract like folks. So while we absolutely battled turnover, we had a core group of folks that was the nucleus that really kept us together, allowed us to be open, more than many of our peers, candidly, whether it be more days of the week or open period, or just even more meal periods. But it was because of the foundation that we had and that continued to attract people that many others had to reduce hours and or not get open certain shifts. And despite the battle we had with hiring like everyone else, we were highly successful. And I have to just, tout my operations team, and just doing an amazing job of every day figuring out, okay, what are we challenged with today? And we were all in it together. There wasn't a time that you couldn't pick up the phone and speak to a manager immediately, or candidly a senior member of staff, or candidly, if you needed to, a dishwasher for that matter, proverbially. But we were in this together, and we were solving problems together. And I think that's what helped us maintain the folks that we did have that kept the lights on during those times.
Yeah, I'll add to that really quick, just because I'm so amazed by our organization. But I mean, it was crazy. I mean, if you remembered, everybody was cutting staff, and then you had to cut all the managers' pay because nobody knew what was happening, and you cut, everybody, and you had no servers and blah, blah, blah. Well, these guys band together, and I got to tell you, within a month, we were doing so well with just to go and serving our communities that we were able to get everybody back that was on leave. I don't know if it was 1 month or 2 months. I can't remember, but it was a lot faster than 99%.
Yeah.
We paid all the back pay. We paid them hazard pay. We did all this stuff. I mean, it was fantastic that we were able to do that because of that core group of managers that were like, no, we got this, and really helped us through the whole business. And, ended up being great because some of these guys, to-go specialists were making $48 an hour. Is what they were averaging.
Yeah, right.
Then all of a sudden people were like, okay, well, government assistance, I don't want that. Let's go back to work. I can make $50 an hour or whatever. So, but yeah, it was a very difficult time, but I think our culture did save us. Yeah.
Were there any pivots that came out of the pandemic that you continue to use today that are now huge parts of your business? I mean, you mentioned to-go, obviously, but then online ordering became huge and delivery became huge and all these other things. When you had to shut your business down physically, for many states did for, a large part of time, my state included. And then even in our state of Maine, they enacted alcohol to go is now allowed. And they're continuing that. And that's been a huge boon to business. When you can put cocktails in a sealed container and sell that with a to-go item now, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were less than, I think, Chris, keep me honest, 3 or 4% off premise before we shut down in 2020 to now it's about 30% of our business. So we picked up a lot of that off premise and everything else. But I'll let Chris tell all the
pivot. It makes me laugh because that was the word
now.
We hate that word now.
I know it's true.
but in all candidness, it was the word we used every day, every minute, and I think we can't. I think we all get the sweats when we hear it because that's all we ever had to say was like, all right, we got to pivot again. We got to pivot.
Right.
You hit it on the head. If it wasn't going from to go, from in-house to go to adopting technology at a rapid pace. I mean, fully integrating with online ordering, third-party delivery, paying at the table, remote printers, remote POS, KDS systems, anything that created anything frictionless. We were really proud that our collective team, including our tech department, really kept us in the game of saying, all right, here's the tech we need. Let's go out and get it. Let's learn about it, get the right piece of technology, then deploy it, and do it in a way that, you know, didn't slow us down, and that we can try to keep up with this ever-changing pace, because we really needed the ability to stay nimble in this environment, because it seemed like every day the laws were changing and the times were changing. If you remember those early days of COVID, we just wanted to be able to be in a position to be as flexible as possible. So we adopted just about everything you read today in restaurant news or any of the industry rags about, you know, online ordering or electronic weight management, to KDS systems, to remotes, to AI interacting with the app. We are in the process of trying to get a test going with robotics. I mean, it's become a real mainstay of what we do. That's without sacrificing quality, and allowing us to be more efficient and continue to invest in our people.
Let's go to your menu. R&D. Does the menu stay constant all the time? Does it change? Are there LTOs? Are there, seasonal specials? What do you do? Focus groups on new menu items? You got an executive chef that keeps coming up with ideas. Tell us the whole picture there.
Well, it's everything you said. It's a lot of. First of all, we do not change our menu. We're very consistent. We have our, I think it's twice a year meeting, where it's the workhorse, plow, star dog, whatever it is. We do our quarterly specials. We're all about innovation, so we're always innovating. I work R&D with Trey. I'm constantly on the phone with him. He's constantly calling me saying, "Hey, this is what I'm coming up with," and this is fantastic, because he is constantly doing something to eventually add on to the menu and innovate something. So, we try not to mess with our recipes. That's part of the consistency. But, listen, jackfruit 9 years ago was very popular for us, and we were the first one to have it. And it was this miracle fruit. And I love vegetarians, and I love to eat clean. And it served us a very good purpose. But right now, it's a very small percentage of our menu. And it's been 9 years. So, it's about time to figure that out. So now he's coming up with, alternatives for something like that. But we spend a lot of time. I say if you're not innovating, you're dying. It's really true. Even if it's just one onion, making that one onion better, a better onion itself per se, is stuff that we freak out over. Okay, the yellow onions, no, they get slimy, they get this. We got to switch from yellow onions to red onions. We're obsessive about that stuff. So cut it up, test it. It takes months, but we do testing everywhere, constantly innovating, even if it's ideas that we know are not going to stick. Like I brag that I make the world's greatest burrito. They call it Joe Kahn's world's famous burrito that I serve my family twice a month. I love it. I couldn't execute it, and I did this big tasting on it, and everybody hated it, and I was pissed off. But I could have said it's going on the menu. I said, no, forget it. But we just throw stuff out there. We want to remain relevant. We didn't have a bowl on our menu when we started. Now it's a huge part of our menu. Our rice-based or kale-based bowls instead of the taco. So we're constantly innovating. There's a lot of testing. And if I answered that properly, I'll let Chris answer the rest if I missed anything.
No, I think you nailed it. It's something we're very passionate about, and thread the needle of innovation and new and introducing new. We do on a quarterly basis introduce a new LTO, and it's a new taco, a dip, and/or margarita, and usually one of each, just to keep things fresh and see if we find a new permanent menu item. And but we also know that our concept also is built on a build your own taco or bowl. Mm-hmm. So you can come in and create your own as well. So between the features which we create, which we really sell the majority of these days, you can come in and build your own as well.
How about the bar? You've got a craft cocktail program. You got 7 flavors of margaritas. You got some draft Modelo and Bud Light. What percentage is alcohol sales in a typical store versus food?
It's big. It's 35%. Is that right, Chris?
Our four wall beverage percentage is, has really lived at 35%, sometimes a little bit stronger, which is just extremely healthy for
bottom line
for a concept like ours. It's really really exciting. We get a lot of, obviously margaritas are in our name, Condados, Tacos, Tequila Margaritas. But it's really about fresh flavors. When you drink a house marg from us, you're not tasting cheap syrupy. It's fresh mix, and we're so proud, that you can come in and enjoy great margarita with a great tequila and fresh ingredients and save the hangover as a result. And it's a big part of what we do in the experience is, come in, get a dip, have a taco and or bowl, and a great margarita. And we certainly have a wide variety of beverages beyond the margarita, but we sell 85% of what we sell is margaritas and every variation you can imagine, which we get a lot of credit for, which is exciting.
For sure. Yeah. I get a really good sense of the vibe and the ambiance just from your website. I think I've always said that a great restaurant website really gives you a taste and a flavor of the restaurant before you even walk in the door. And it's a calling card, and it's something that compels you to try the restaurant. And you guys have done a very good job with that. Would you say that, why don't you walk us through a first-time visitor walking through the door of any typical Condado location? Sights, sounds, smells. What's hitting you?
All you, Joe.
Yeah, no. Listen, when you walk into Condado, it's all about being in an exciting environment, and hopefully, which I'm very proud of. And if we execute it all the time, I'm pretty confident that we do most of the time. Knock on wood. But you're greeted with a friendly person at the front door, and it's a casual vibe, but it's exciting. There's music loud music. It's a lot of energy, and you're looking at these big colorful walls. I mean, we have our own art department that we've had since day one in Condado. It was one person before, and now it's art department of 5 plus I think 4 or 5, something like that. Plus we have 12 artists that we hire in the location that we go to. So if we're in Michigan, in the Michigan area, we'll find mural artists, and then we create these vision boards, and we put this great artwork on the walls that all tell a different story. They're all different in each Condado, but it's Condado because it has all the representing characters. But it's really the theme of the restaurant. It's what makes your Condado that you go to yours. It's your neighborhood. It tells a story usually about the area and what that area was. In some areas it's about like our Polaris location. Polaris is about the stars. So if you come into the Polaris location, you'll see it's all a space theme and galaxies and all this great stuff, but you'll see our characters in there doing the space moonwalk or whatever it is. So
that's cool.
It's really exciting when you walk into a Condado.
Yeah.
You're going to smell a lot of chips because we go through thousands of pounds per location. All we do is we fry our chips and hard shells 8 hours a day, just standing there over there, doing that. So you're going to smell that. And hopefully when you get there and you sit down, what really is going to permeate with you is it's so comfortable and easy. And you don't have this person coming over to you that doesn't feel good about themselves. They're not in a uniform, a shirt, a tie, a blood. Hi, my name is Joe. I'm here to serve you. And half the time they're looking over you or they're talking through you. And you know how it is when you go to these places that have no passion and nobody cares about their job. I think because of the culture and the come as you are, our servers are very engaging. They're very thoughtful. They're very nice. They're extremely knowledgeable. I mean, we get grades on our friendliness like nobody's business. I bet you we're one of the top out of the entire industry. But that's a testament to how we treat our people. They're happy to be there. And they don't have spiels and they don't, my name is this. They're just themselves. They have rules, of course. We go through and, do all that kind of stuff, steps of service, but they're really themselves. And you're going to be in an environment that's high energy, that is very colorful. And you're always when I started Condado, I wanted to, with my murals, paint. So whenever you came in, you'd always notice something different. And it's usually how it is. There's so many Easter eggs and nuggets in these pictures. I mean, these artists are outstanding what they do. And Alyssa, who's been with us almost the entire time, I think she started at the end of year one, who is now in charge of our art department, is phenomenal. And she is the one that looks over everybody and takes her other people under her to do all these different restaurants and make sure that, it's Condado approved.
Yeah.
And they're a piece of art. So,
it sounds to me that aside from the vibe and the feel you get when you're dining in the Condado, it sounds like there's a huge marketing component there with all these murals and stuff just showing up on social media and being free marketing for you guys. It just compels other people to try out.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. We're in the the BuzzFeed. Yeah, we're in the BuzzFeed of your Instagram and all your social for sure. We're very very colorful. Even our food is so colorful and pretty. It just begs you to do that. But that wasn't the intent. But luckily we get it. But you would be blown away if you go to a Condado. It's definitely an experience. We say for $20, it's the best experience you can get out there. I mean, that's what we are. Our average taco dip and a drink, you're under $20. You're about $19 a head. So it's the best experience for $20 you can have out there. I'd put this against anybody.
And you're also catering too. I saw party packs and taco boxes and nacho bars and all this kind of fun stuff, right? So that's got to be a popular side part of the business.
Yeah, the fastest growing part of our business. It's right now it's about 7.5%, 7% of our sales. We really think it'll top out at 10, 12%, maybe more. It's just growing by leaps and bounds. It's when you think of a company that's on a path to do about 200 million or 180 million in sales, 10% of that being catering, one day or more. It's really exciting. It's from a B2B perspective, it's been really successful, and we've done everything from weddings to birthdays and what have you of hundreds of people. It's been really exciting to see that part of our business grow very organically.
And it's less than 3 years old. The first year we started it, launched it. About 2 weeks, I made the deal with Beekman, unfortunately for them, but turned out very fortunate. 2 weeks before the pandemic, and but the same with Karen Reed, who is funny enough. She was in love with our concept when I opened 7 years earlier, or whatever, 6 years earlier. She was a regular catering for somebody else, and then she came to apply for us right before the pandemic, and actually ended up getting the job out of a big search. So for her and Johnny, our COO, to grow the catering business, year one there was no business. I mean, who are you catering to in the pandemic? Yes. People at home,
right?
So she worked really hard, but the 2 years after that, I mean, it is phenomenal what she's done. How she's taken that. Her and Johnny have just taken it to, 10% of sales next year is going to be a huge business.
Yeah, I can see that. You obviously must have a CFO as well.
Yeah, the CFO really professionalized the business. I invested in my COO first. He made more money than I did. My wife almost killed me. But I said, this guy's better than me. And it rang true. And then my next big hire was David Connolly, who came from this brand called City Barbecue. I don't know if they're regional or they're almost national now. They're a big company out there.
Yep.
He was the CFO for them. He went into a private equity deal, sold. I guess did not enjoy the private equity firm. We did, just to let you know. We really like Beekman, still do, but he didn't, and could have retired and moved on. But he knew our brand, and we were probably 4 restaurants into it, and my partners were wise enough to say, Joe, you don't know what you're doing. You cannot be the CFO as well. And I said, I agree. So let's go out and strategically get one. And he was one of the first ones. And we were looking at his resume, and on the title, it went, "Please do not throw this away. This is real," or something like that. And we were shocked. And then we met with him, and he turned out to be this great guy that was like, City Barbecue, I did it for City Barbecue. I can professionalize your business. So we actually ended up making him a partner. So he ended up getting a small piece of the business, just like Johnny did and some other people out there, to incentivize him. And really, he took us to that level that we could never have gone to. I didn't even know what a P&L was back in the day. So I remember David coming up to me saying, "Hey, Joe, your prime costs are 73%. And I looked at him and I go, "Is that good?" And he goes, "No, Joe, you're losing a lot of money." So he really was the infrastructure to start our C-suites, start our HR, go out and eventually find a president that we worked with for a couple of years, and the whole organization.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to dive a little into finance, just typically, well, you mentioned prime cost, of course, and each store must have key performance indicators that you monitor, and you got to maintain the consistency there so that the bottom line performance is strong in each store. But locations and how you select them sort of factors into that equation too. And you have a locational specialist as you grow.
Yeah, no, we have in-house. We build our organization. Again, we're about our people and how they're going to take us. So Jason Siegler, another one. He was the real estate. I forgot what his exact title. He found the new locations for Rio Bravo. He was with them for 20 plus years. Great guy, my age. Yeah. And same thing happened. He sent along his resume as soon as they kind of defunct. And I looked at it, and he goes, "I know your brand. I love your brand. I want to grow with you guys." And same thing happened. So, but we got very lucky that way. The money wise, I didn't know that 73% prime costs were good. So I'll let Chris take the money since he's the money guy.
Yeah.
Finance guys. And I know he has to jump, so I can take it after that.
So, yes, absolutely. So obviously this is a penny business, the restaurant industry. It really is. And it really boils down to, rent, which to a certain extent you have no control over once you sign a lease. And then you have, food and labor, which is a big deal. So center of the P&L is managed, so weekly inventory without question, daily review of labor, daily review of waste, if not by shift. And then we have weekly, monthly, and quarterly reviews of the financials. But we have really tried to automate as much of our financials as we possibly can. We still have some work to do there, but our goal is to make sure we create a system that is formulaic, that keeps our folks 90% focused on people, and then 10% focused on sort of like the business of the finance. And if we just every day check our labor, check in on food, check in on our P&L, and stay on top of it on that daily, weekly, and spend that 10% of your day. If you really think about it, just 10% of your time on those types of things regularly, they'll never get out of control. And it allows us to spend 90% of our focus on developing our people and the guest experience.
All of those things are so vital to our audience's own operation. So it's so important that you shared that. So thanks so much. Okay, really quickly, just to wrap it up, what's the future plan? Do you see franchising in your future? Will it always be company-owned stores? Are you going national? What are you looking at?
Yeah, we're definitely going national. Franchise, no, I don't feel that's the right play. I don't think Chris or my new boss, John Triano, feels that's the right way to go. We're just too big of a restaurant. There's too many moving pieces. It's not easy. I mean, it is easy, but you know what? I don't want people to take that. And company owned, we have our plan. We're definitely going national. We'll do 10 to 15 or 12 to 15 restaurants a year going forward. And as we get bigger, we'll do more when we can handle it. But we're taking over as far as we can go, as far as you'll let us the people out there want to have tacos, we'll go.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, the expertise, how you run your business, the focus on people, the focus on your guest service experience, all that came through. So we appreciate you being on the podcast.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much for having us, Roger. Really a pleasure.
My pleasure entirely. That was the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Thanks so much, audience, for tuning in. We can't wait to see you in the next episode, so please stay tuned and stay well. Thanks, Chris and Joe. I'm super inspired, as is our audience, with the way you're building Condado Tacos. What a dynamic company you have, and beautiful spaces and fast growth. But, you know, just the stories of leadership and inspiring others and giving them opportunity is really how we should be running all of our businesses. So thanks so much for sharing and being great guests on the podcast. Thanks also to our sponsors of this week's episode. And of course, to you, our audience. We really appreciate you tuning in. So we can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. For lots of great resources, head over to restaurantrockstars.com. See you next time.